Now back to the ABC, because they've had a hit back trying to defend themselves and slur me and the Australian and Sky News for daring to point out their bias and journalistic delinquency. First up, a reminder of the deceptive edit that the ABC's Sarah Ferguson gave us in her Four Corners report, Downfall, 4 years ago, which tried to suggest that Donald Trump directly encouraged violence at the Capitol, triggering that January the 6th riot.
And after this, we're going to walk down and I'll be there with you, because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong.
And here's what Trump actually said without the ABC's edit, what he actually encouraged people to do at the Capitol.
And after this, we're going to walk down and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here we're going to walk down to the Capitol. And we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them, because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong.
So that was the transgression. Have a look at the ABC Media Watch's response last night.
In response, the ABC's Managing Director Hugh Marks came out swinging, describing the accusation as
opportunistic and false. The grab on Four Corners was used accurately and did not mislead the audience.
Peter Meakin, who spent decades as the Director of News and Current Affairs variously for Channels 7, 9 and 10, said the two edits were different.
I don't think Four Corners is guilty of too much at all, actually. The bottom line is that it was indeed a rabble-rousing speech.
As none other than Chris Kenny wrote at the time.
Such lawlessness is inexcusable. Worst of all, that it was fomented and encouraged by the Commander-in-Chief and Chief Executive is frightening.
Sarah Ferguson told us this very story by Kenny
underlines the hypocrisy of the attacks on our reporting. The story he's criticising reached the same conclusions as him about Donald Trump's culpability.
Chris Kenny said,
I have long been critical of Donald Trump's refusal to offer his losers consent after the 2020 election, but I believe deceptively editing his words in order to buttress that view is unethical.
Journalist and academic Margaret Simons said vested interests
predictably are trying to make the BBC crisis a strike against the ABC. They should chill. The ABC is certainly not perfect, but it has clean hands in this case.
There's a lot to go through here. Let me do it in order. First up, the ABC Managing Director said my attack was false. That's a big claim. I have carefully and forensically detailed the ABC edit, which I say was deliberately misleading. Marks just says my report is false. What is false? What fact is wrong? He should detail precisely what I said or wrote that was wrong or false. Otherwise, he should apologise. Next, the ABC has obviously chosen to go to one retired news boss, Peter Meakin, the man once behind A Current Affair and Today Tonight and The Project, and he said Four Corners didn't do much wrong. Who cares? Is this the new test for ABC journalism, the Today Tonight test? I've put the facts out there. I say it was deceptive and misleading. Many agree with me, and people can make up their own minds. The next attack is a cracker. They defend Ferguson's deceptive editing by pointing out that I was critical of Trump at the time. That just bolsters my argument. I'm no Trump barracker. I think he was reckless and irresponsible in the way he refused to accept the election result, and it created such resentment over that. But I didn't pretend that he deliberately urged people to be violent, because that's not true. The ABC clipped up his speech to make it look like he was urging aggression. In fact, they specifically edited out one of the only two sections where he said what he wanted people to do. In this case, cheer on politicians who supported Trump. The only other time in the speech that Trump told the crowd what they should do at the Capitol was this comment.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Peacefully make your voices heard. And of course, the ABC didn't show that bit either. Now, the point here too is if the ABC really thinks the Ferguson Four Corners edit was okay, why didn't they show it? Cut and uncut, edited and unedited, the way I just did, and the way they did with the BBC edit. If they stand by this outstanding journalism, then why not show your viewers the cut and let them make up their own minds? But they dared not to even do that on Media Watch. They dared not to be that transparent, even now. And then the ABC rolled out Margaret Simons, a long-time Green Left writer who 20 years ago wrote a book supporting the fabricated secret women's business of Hindmarsh Island. That's how much she cares about the truth. She attacked me in that book too, of course. And now this leftist polemicist is an authority the ABC turns to for its defence. For a once proud national broadcaster, that's pretty sad, really. But the key point now is that when confronted with this Four Corners trickery, similar to the BBC's dodgy edit, the ABC refused to admit error or even investigate. Now, apart from Ferguson, the managing director Marks, the Media Watch host Linton Besser and the news chief Justin Stevens are all on the record as defending this journalism. And the ABC Ombudsman Fiona Cameron has refused to investigate my complaint about it. They're all rejecting accountability. Media Watch last night also addressed criticism from The Australian over their appalling Middle East coverage, their discredited three-part series arguing that Donald Trump was first installed as president by Russia's Vladimir Putin. Remember that conspiracy theory? That was Ferguson too.
The Kremlin's puppet master now has America dancing to his discordant tune. He couldn't have planned it better.
Laughable. And Media Watch also looked at the ABC's coverage of gender dysphoria issues. Incredibly, Besser gave the ABC a pass on the malicious Russiagate nonsense and a thumbs up too on its one-sided Middle East coverage, while he admitted its jaundice on gender issues. But on the dodgy Trump edit, Besser went with the age-old shtick of the poor old ABC as a hapless victim.
Rather, it seems this was a naked attempt to draw the ABC into a public broadcasting crisis 17,000 kilometres away, which smeared, without foundation, some of the ABC's finest reporting.
Its finest reporting, dodgy edits. That's it. They're all locked in behind it now. They're either all right or all wrong. They all either think this matter is too trifling to bother with an investigation or even to bother sharing the edited and uncut versions with their audiences so they can make up their own minds, or they all know they've been caught red-handed and they think their best option is to deny and attack the messenger and try to ride it out. We'll keep on it.